Welcome back to the 85th episode of the Shy Sports Weekly podcast. Boys, what better way to kick off the 85th episode than talking about the Bears?
Oh my God, this guy that we had on, Joe Herff, he is like Bears porn. This dude, he knows more about the Bears than anybody ever, ever.
I thought about going to grab a beer or 6 out of the fridge and just sitting here for a couple hours talking Bears.
Yeah, put on the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yep.
Maybe some Justin Fields highlights. Yeah, no, this is definitely a must listen to episode. He is just dialed in on everything: free agency, draft, the trade of number 1 overall pick. He is legitimately dialed into everything.
He was so prepared for every question.
And we didn't prepare any questions.
Well, he does his own podcast, so to be fair, he literally did just talk about it.
And when we do our own podcast too, and we had no idea what was going on.
It's fair.
I mean, yeah. All right, 85s. Cole Kmet.
All right, Cole Kmet, nice. That's a great one. The 85 Bears.
Shit.
Oh.
Because the only other one I had after that was Trent Giambrone from the Cubs.
Man, this one's a mouthful. What about Rostislav Olesh?
Oh, yeah. Who the fuck did he was on the Hawks? Rostislav Olesh. Left-handed shot. I don't even remember. Maybe for a leak they got him for. Maybe.
It's hilarious that you knew who he was. I don't know why I'm surprised.
Yeah, it was like the early 2010s. It was right after. It was between their first and second cup. I know they had him. He was pretty useless. I'm gonna say they traded him and got for a leak. Ty, can you look that up?
What year was this?
Sporcle. No, I'll look it up. You tell me, what's our Sporcle? What are we doing?
Oh, wow. I haven't quite gotten that far, if I'm being honest. So
all I want to say before we get into the interview is I'm prepared to set the Bears win total at 11 already.
Come on.
Come on.
11?
Come on.
Dude, you're high.
I'm not. I'm high on Ryan Poles fumes.
Oh, they traded Brian Campbell for him. Not Michael Froelich. I'm high. Yeah, dude, Ryan Poles honestly got a 10-inch cock swinging around Chicago. Fuck, that was the one question I meant to ask Joe, was that he talks about Claypool potentially not being a Bear after next season. I wanted to ask him or why he thinks that. Be interesting. I like Claypool. So
I like him, but we just need to learn the place.
That's true. All right, Ty, what do we got for Sporcle?
all right. Do you guys have a preference on Bears or Bulls or any?
Ideally Bears.
Yeah, let's go Bears. Bears.
You got a good one.
All right, let me find. See if we can do this. Problem with Sporcle is there's like all these quizzes. Like this one's 78. Like 78 questions. That's entirely too long, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is. All right, you got a good Bulls one? You had one job.
Yeah, well, I was trying to. Then
what?
I don't know if
you could always go back to All Reliable, the Cubs.
Yeah, well, so obviously I'm trying to keep it Chicago sports related here. However, a lot of these just suck. Just not good quizzes overall. So
there, I literally found the good one here. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, you go ahead, dude.
I can't. You're the host.
Yep.
Send it to him. Send the link to him.
I got one.
There we go.
Bulls starting lineups in the NBA Finals. Can we do this? We'll see how you do. It's a
all right.
It's a quick
how many are there? I mean, are they all in the 90s?
Yeah, 6.
I'm sure 91 to 98.
All right, go. You could do this should be able to do this pretty quick.
Well,
that's good because you have a minute to do it.
That's it? All right.
That's it.
Hold on. All right, you can start it now.
You have a minute to do it? Jesus Christ.
Hurry up. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, we're good. I thought this was bench players too, but it's starters for every year. I got you.
Yeah, we got this?
All right, yeah. You got to type fast.
I'll see what I can do here.
Jordan, Pippen.
All right. Ready, set.
Nope. Ready?
Go.
Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Armstrong, Longley,
Grant,
Grant,
Wennington,
Wennington,
How do you spell that?
and
Paxson.
Jesus.
There you go. Oh,
Okay.
Bill Wennington wasn't one. Paxson,
Kerr.
Paxson Kerr, Paxson.
Who was the center?
Point guard in '96. Harper.
Ron Harper. Oh, Kukoc. Kukoc.
Yeah, we're missing the center from the early '90s teams. That played with Horace Grant. Who would that be? Fuck. It's gonna be so easy.
5, 4.
We're not gonna get it. Damn it.
Bill
Bill
Cartwright.
Do it.
Cartwright.
I was never gonna guess that in a minute, but I should have known that.
Wasn't he the Bulls coach for a bit too?
He was.
Damn. That's even worse. That was fun. You got another one?
A quick
No
little
shot, you
Sporcle. I mean, not off the dome, but I could find one quick.
No. Find one quick. That took you 45 minutes to find that one.
Yeah,
Instead
well,
of walking away on another L, let's walk away on a W.
yeah, you should walk
Get over
away
to
on a
the-
dub.
to
That's
the
a good
interview.
call. It's a good call.
Best one yet.
We got an exciting guest on the show. First time caller, Joe Herff, content creator with Bear Goggles On and a podcast host of his own podcast, Herff Subtle. We're going to be talking Bears. Joe, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, I got to ask right off the bat: Are we a Schefter or a Rappaport guy?
Rapport for sure.
Ooh.
Smoking them today.
I was gonna say who's leading in the scoop game right now?
Rap definitely is. I mean, Schefter comes out with the contracts every so often, but Rap's been kind of killing them with the first of the news.
As you
I
say that,
like when he reports something and says, first reported by me and this person.
Yep.
how does that work? I mean, I don't know if you would know that when somebody or when they have a report and it's like Rappaport and I don't know, say Mike Garofalo. How does that? Isn't it just like somebody told one of them first?
I don't know. I've never actually thought of that. I don't even know like how it all works, but yeah, I'm assuming like the agent sent the information to both of them, but I don't know.
And
All that
literally-
matters is that he was firing off tweets about the Bears today.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
100%.
I was gonna say not that this is Bears related, but 15 seconds ago he tweets out Jameis Winston back to the Saints.
Really?
Like this guy's all over it.
Yeah, he is. He was on one today. He was good.
So now do you think Schefter is more quantity or quality versus quantity, where Rappaport's just he's picking up the scraps and trying to even the score?
I don't know because Schefter kind of got some hate. I can't remember what it was last year. He's had like a very
Wasn't it the Brady news?
I think it was the Brady and then Deshaun Watson. He said something really weird about Deshaun Watson that was obviously leaked by his agent, like to shed some good light on him. And since then, he's kind of slacked.
Interesting. Good to know. Good. Max over here is a Schefter guy. He's ride or die.
Ooh.
Adam Schefter.
People think I'm buried in my phone. Like those guys are just literally their phone is just glued to their eyeballs.
Yeah, 100%.
Like taped to their foreheads.
All right, we'll slide over to some Bears talk here. First question: how does Ryan Pace? How does Ryan Poles walk? Those 10-pound balls between his legs, wheeling and dealing, slinging it around. That first overall pick. I mean, I guess just your initial thoughts on that. Just the return they got, DJ Moore, everything. Lay it on him.
That trade, like I was finishing up work. I had about a half an hour left when that happened. So obviously I did absolutely nothing for the last half an hour of work. But like I just instantly like called a bunch of my buddies and just started talking about it, like as it was going down. Like I heard the trade happen, that's when I called them, and then we saw the return, and it was like this didn't even seem fair. Like I thought DJ Moore was gonna cost alone at least a 1 and a 2. And the fact that we basically traded back and got essentially 3 firsts if you include him, and basically 3 seconds if you also include his value, it's just insane. And the fact is there was no good receivers on the market. Obviously there isn't. Nobody's even signed yet with a team. And even I think the Bengals GM with like the T. Higgins rumors, he said himself like, if you want your own good receiver, we're not moving T. Higgins. Like if you want your own like good receiver, draft one yourself. And the Bears obviously put a stamp in that. So, we're just going to trade for one.
That was disappointing for me when I heard that because I've been rallying the T. Higgins cries all offseason. Even at the trade deadline last year. But obviously they weren't going to move in midseason, but I was already talking about the offseason. But DJ Moore, not a bad consolation prize at all.
No, I was a big fan. I mean, I was like how you were with T, obviously sounds like how I was with DJ. I was rallying for him at the trade deadline pretty hard that we should have gone for him. And it sounds like the Packers offered a 1 at the deadline and the Panthers said no. So the fact that Poles basically told the Panthers, DJ Moore's in this deal or we're not taking this is just impressive as hell.
Right.
I did not know about the Packers offer for DJ Moore there.
Yeah. So we basically sniped the Packers from Moore and Claypool.
That makes it even sweeter.
Oh, yeah.
Snipe DJ Moore, send Aaron Rodgers packing for good.
Get them the fuck out. Tell us a little bit about DJ Moore. Who would you compare him to?
It's tough because, like, he really doesn't have, like, a really good comp in the NFL right now. He reminds me a lot of Steve Smith, which obviously is a big shoes to fill. But the fact that he's not, like, a physically big receiver but plays like a physically big receiver, but also has the speed to separate, can separate. Like, he can do it all, and it really depends on how he's used. So I think he's really going to determine this year for us, how we use him is really what we're going to see his value as. So, like, last year the Panthers basically solely used him as a deep threat, and he still torched. I think he had, like, the 90th worst on-target percentage of any wide receiver last year. Like, he basically had no ball correctly thrown his way, and he still managed to get almost 900 receiving yards despite that. So I think he's going to use more in the slot for us and on the outside, just mix matching with Mooney, just depending on matchups. And it's just going to give defenses absolute headaches.
Yep. He is definitely the kind of guy that could stretch the field, but I feel like he also is going to get open, like, and just sit in the holes in the zone.
Yep.
Get chunks of 20 yards at a time.
Yeah, he kills zones, and he's best used, like, in that, like, 10 to 20 yard range, which is where Fields absolutely cooks. He didn't have that receiver kind of last year. I mean, Mooney was obviously a deep threat. Mooney was really good across, like, across the midfield, going into the flat, like that kind of stuff. But they didn't really have a good, like, guy who can run a dig route, guy that can run a deep curl. Like, they didn't have anybody that can really do that. That's what Moore, like, really excels in. He just hasn't been used like that yet.
Yeah, I hate to jump the gun or get ahead of myself, but you think about an offense like the Chiefs, where they kind of have a mobile quarterback.
Here we go.
Get out of the pocket, and the receivers are kind of following Mahomes around the field. I feel like DJ Moore is, like, absolutely that kind of guy, and he's going to fit really well with Fields.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if we, like, a really good example of what DJ Moore will do consistently is what I think it was Dante Pettis' first touchdown of the season against the 49ers, where he found an absolute opening in the defense because the play broke down, and he just walked in basically for, like, a 40-yard touchdown on only, like, a 20-yard pass. And it's just because Fields bought so much time, and he basically just found the opening. But DJ Moore will do that a lot more consistently.
Yep.
Joe, are you a big, I'll say numbers guy, like Pro Football Focus, those type of numbers?
Yes and no. It depends what kind of numbers you're using. For the grades, probably not. But if it comes to, like, certain things, like, I like using them to track how many sacks and penalties, like, offensive linemen have had and, pass coverage type of stuff when it comes to linebackers. But otherwise, like, overall grades for, like, a wide receiver, not really.
I'm convinced that it's just completely made up because I have no idea. I don't know how to read any of it.
No, they don't really give any good description to it either. It's just all subjective.
Yeah, like, there's some, I've seen stats out there for, I guess we say DJ Moore here, but, like, the separation he calls it, and they'll give a grade to it. I'm like, this makes absolutely, like, what are we talking about here? Like,
Yeah,
this isn't like rocket Scientology. This is just football, right? Like, come on. Along those lines, Bears receiving corps. So you have Mooney, Moore, Claypool. Besides that, I guess you have Equinemius St. Brown, but are the Bears, are they going to add through free agency, through the draft? Are they done adding to the wide receiver room? What do you think?
I think they're done in free agency. I could easily see us going after somebody in the mid to late rounds. I really only see them going after a guy that's like a developmental type player. I like to look at Andre Iosivas as a guy that you can draft in the 4th or 5th round and let sit behind Claypool for a year. I don't think Claypool comes back now with the addition of DJ Moore, unfortunately. And I love Claypool. So I think they get a guy that's going to replace him long-term as their big, athlete as the X. And I think he's a good fit for it. Or you can go after a guy like Xavier Hutchinson, Could also see them going after like a more lethal guy that maybe they expected Velus Jones to be, but they definitely will draft somebody in the mid to late rounds.
What about like a Rashee Rice? Where do you think he's going to go?
He's a guy I like too. I can see him going in the 4th round. He reminds me a lot of basically how DJ Moore plays, where he's not the biggest receiver, but he's going to beat you on a lot of jump balls, and he wants to physically outmuscle people.
I completely forgot about Velus Jones when I was naming the receiver room there.
Don't really count him.
Yeah. Like, one, is DJ Moore older than him or younger than him? I feel like everybody's younger than Velus Jones.
Tremaine Edmonds is younger than him. Fun
Yeah,
fact.
I saw a tweet today.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
A year
He's been in
younger.
the league for 5 years, right?
Yep.
That's outrageous. So, yeah, Velus Jones, what do you think about him? Is he going to play, I'll say, meaningful snaps this year?
I think he'll be the full-time kick returner, and it'll help us a lot. But I think he'll just be kind of used as he was at the end of the year as like a gadget type guy, go deep every so often, make cool, crazy play every so often. But I don't think he'll be, super meaningful.
When I think of Velus Jones, I think of like a Walmart version of Cordarrelle Patterson.
Yeah, the short version of him.
Yeah, like he's just like on clearance.
Yeah.
Like he can kind of do it, but like it's really not that good.
Yeah, look, it's like it's kind of the same thing of Tariq Cohen, what we had. I think we're just trying to recreate him, and it's not working.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Carolina trade obviously checks a lot of boxes. It keeps them within the top 10 of the first round this year. It gives them even more draft capital in future years, and even that second round pick this year. And then it gives Fields that wide receiver 1, X type receiver. Let's talk about the moves they made today, though. So they picked up 2 great linebackers in Edwards and Edmonds. Going to try not to mix those up all season. And I believe they paid pretty much the same amount that they would have for those 2 guys for Roquan Smith.
Yeah, I absolutely love the linebacker one's great. I mean, the way because over the cap actually has their contracts out already. I don't know how they already got their hands on it, but Tremaine Edmonds' deal looks beautiful in terms of the Bears, cap situation. It's all front-loaded money. Tremaine Edmonds has 0 guaranteed money after next season, after 2024 season. So he's not going to be a major cap hit at all the last 2 seasons, essentially, for the Bears. And he's going to be
front-loaded the shit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. That's what they did. So it was absolutely perfect for what they did because the extensions that we're going to see are going to happen to Mooney, Justin Fields, like those type of guys are all going to happen basically at that kind of time frame. Obviously, Mooney will probably happen this year, but same thing. They could easily just make his first year pretty cheap and then backload his. And they maneuvered this super well. And then TJ Edwards getting him at that price tag was unbelievable.
Stealing
how, I don't understand.
And the guy was a top 5 in tackles last season, I'm pretty sure, right?
Top 5 in tackles, top 5 in I think it was yards per target, I think it was, or he was 6th, I think, according to NFL Next Gen stats. But he was unbelievable. And he was great in pass coverage, instinctive, physical, strong. Him and Sanborn are gonna be good together.
It always feels good to have a local guy like that on the roster too.
Yep.
A little extra juice there.
Exactly. Him and Sanborn too, because they're both from around the same area for high schools, and they both went to Wisconsin.
It was like you blinked, or if you were working and didn't have time to check Twitter, an hour goes by, and all of a sudden the Bears have some of the best linebackers in the league.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, is there something specific about TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds that fits within Eberflus's scheme? Like, why these 2 specific linebackers?
Well, Edwards can play any of the 3 pretty well. He's best suited as a Mike, but he can play any of the 3. And he actually, he called the entire Eagles defense last year, like from the huddle. Tremaine Edmonds is an absolute perfect fit to be a Will in terms of his size, athleticism. I like to cite a lot. I don't know if you guys have seen Kentley Platt or Math Bomb on Twitter. He has the relative athletic scores all the time for players. It seems like every Bears player that Eberflus and Poles go after has a really high RAS, which is just size, speed, all that stuff. And Edmonds has that. He has a 9.74 out of 10. With 4 or 5 speed at 6'5", 250 is just unbelievable. And the Will's a guy that needs to be a sideline to sideline guy who can make basically what we thought Roquan Smith could be for us, but also needs to step up and fill gaps when needed and pass and do everything basically. So that's what Edmonds is going to be for us, and he showed that last year that he can do that.
Yeah, so I was looking at I actually saw you tweet this out earlier, a couple screenshots. And not this Theo Ash guy, but people are kind of like, all right, so you paid 24, or you paid Tremaine Edmonds, a little less than you would have paid Roquan. Like, why didn't you just pay Roquan? But this overall, like, think for 3 linebackers here. I mean, I should say 2 linebackers. I have no idea what Sanborn's making, but for 24.5 mil, you got Edmonds and Edwards over 20 million for Roquan Smith, right?
Yeah. Plus, I mean, with Roquan's, like, the whole thing with Roquan is he literally asked to leave the Bears. Like, he has to be traded. The fact that we got a 2nd-round pick for a guy who didn't even want to be in Chicago and was in a contract year is unbelievable. So we got a 2nd-round pick and 2 new linebackers for the same price, essentially.
In the middle of a tank, too.
Yeah, in the middle of a season that we had absolute zero leverage on Roquan Smith. All we had was a franchise tag, which would have been stupid because he would have sat out anyway if we tagged him.
And then what can you tell us about Nate Davis? Because all I know so far is he's a gigantic human.
I was about to say he's a hoss.
And he plays like it, too. He's mean. He's a monster. Like, he can either, I think he'll probably be the left guard, and then we cut Whitehair or try and make Whitehair play center, but I don't think Whitehair will want to play center. So I think he's just, I think he's gone. I think he'll be a post-June 1st cut for like 10 million savings in cap. And I mean, he could play right guard too. That's where he was last year. He looked really good. And then that can move Tevin to right tackle. But I think it kind of depends on what we see with the rest of free agency at right tackle / the draft. But he is an absolute mauler in the run game, and he's a really good zone blocking guard. Like, he's really
him
good
and Tevin Jenkins on the same side of the line would be
deadly.
Might be too mean, actually.
Yeah. Like, the way you watch him play, he just runs mean. Like, he wants to kill somebody.
So, like, as it stands right now, so left, right, was it Braxton Jones is your left tackle starting the season, and then you have Nate Davis.
Yep.
Let's say anybody but Sam Mustipher at center.
I think as of now, it has to be kind of Cody Whitehair at center, or I guess you could say Lucas Patrick too, but I'd say they draft somebody there. But then, then Tevin right guard, and then right tackles, I'm going to guess a free agent or a draft.
I was going to say, is the Larry Borum experiment over?
Yeah, that's done. I think he'll be a good swing tackle, but he's nothing more than that.
So, I mean, part of the theme here with all the guys they picked up so far is they've gone young, right? Like, I think the oldest guy out of Moore, Edwards, Edmonds, and Davis, 26, right?
Yep.
So where do you think they go next? Are they going to look for like a veteran presence? Like, are they going to look to a guy like Frank Clark? Because they do kind of still need to address the pass rush. What do you think they do in free agency with, I guess, the $40 million they have left over in cap space? And then where do they go with that 9th overall pick?
I think they're scheming to throw a bag at basically either Draymond Jones or Orlando Brown Jr., whoever will take it, essentially. I think the only way they want Orlando Brown Jr. is if he's playing right tackle, though. I don't think they want him to play left tackle because he's not a good left tackle. Mm-hmm. But Draymond Jones, I think, is their priority. And if they don't get him, I think they'll settle for Brown. But then they need to still spend a good amount of money on the defensive line regardless and hope that Jalen Carter falls in the draft if they do give it to Orlando Brown Jr. I think the best case scenario for them is they give good money to Draymond Jones, sign a guy cheap like Shelby Harris to be a backup on the defensive line who just got cut today, and then Paris Johnson at 9th overall, or trade back at 9th overall and snag somebody else like a Broderick Jones or like a Darnell Wright.
So that actually led me into my next question. If they're at number 9 and say Jalen Carter doesn't fall to them, right? And I'm gonna assume he's not. In all the mock draft that I've read, he's not there. What is the possibility that the Bears trade back and just amass more capital?
It really depends on how they view the guys that follow them. I think they'll love Tyree Wilson because of his athletic traits and his fit to the 4-3 scheme. So I don't think they pass on him at 9. I'd want them to, but I don't think they do. But I do definitely believe that they're looking to trade back because they always are.
Yeah, I mean, what Poles has done so far this offseason, I think it's hard to say. And granted, you have the number 1 overall pick, and you have what he believes is a franchise quarterback. What I think a lot of people in Chicago believe is a franchise quarterback. He's kind of been like, he's in a spot where it would have been hard to fuck it up, but at the same time, he hasn't fucked it up yet. Like he's right. It
feels like when Theo Epstein came over from Boston. It was just wheeling and making moves, and everything felt right.
It's like weird to see a Bears front office make competent moves. Trading back to amassing, like getting DJ Moore, getting a first round pick, getting 2 second-round picks with it. It just is like
It's funny because today the thought ran through my mind. I'm just waiting for like a meteor to hit Earth, like right when the Bears are about to like do something right and potentially be like a dynasty here. Something is just going to go horribly wrong.
I was just waiting for them to overpay for somebody that I'd be like, come on, why did we do that? Like Tremaine Edmonds was a little bit of an overpay, but like he's at least worth it. Like he's a high level player at a position of need.
You got
and it's all front loaded.
Exactly. I was just waiting for like a stupid contract to like I don't know, like an old Javon Hargrave, like be him $25 million a year or something, and me just be like, are you kidding me? Did we really just do that?
I would have spun that as a positive.
I would have too, but like I still would have been very frustrated at first. Like, did we really just spend all that money on a guy who's already 30-something years old?
What about David Montgomery? Where's he going to go?
I think he's going to realize that he doesn't have a market, and he's going to end up signing pretty cheap back here, honestly. I think he's slowly starting to figure it out that he's not – so he originally, from what I heard, came into the offseason or near the end of the season thinking he was worth about $10 million. He's starting to see now that the running backs aren't even getting any contracts at all right now, and he's going to have to settle for like that $6 to $8 million range.
It'd be great if that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as it's nice to have like a top 5 like bona fide running back, I just don't believe in the Bears investing one, especially at this point in time.
Yeah, I think like Montgomery's just a really good locker room guy to keep around. He can do it all as a running back. He's fun to watch. Like again, keeping those homegrown players is important too.
So you'd be comfortable with a running back room of him and or Montgomery and Herbert again this year?
Yeah, I'd still like to draft somebody in the later rounds as somebody you can develop, like a Chase Brown, maybe out of U of I. That'd be awesome. But
yeah, he's good.
Yeah, or like a Tajay Spears out of Tulane. But
he's like, and Tajay Spears, sorry to cut you off again. He's like what, like 5'5"?
I think he's taller. He's just super small. Like he's pretty light. Like he's like 5'9", but he's super like skinny. But he's just so freaking explosive.
Yeah, I just remember watching him, and was it the Cotton Bowl? Is that where they played USC?
Yeah, where they put yep, and he just blew up against them.
Overhit, not a big deal.
Yeah.
So if you were to predict Foles' next moves in free agency and then predict what they do with the draft pick, where would you plant your flag on that?
I'd say my gut tells me that Draymond Jones doesn't end up signing with them and he signs with the Browns, so they end up paying Orlando Brown Jr. a decent amount of money, and then they basically go defensive tackle first round, whether that's like hopefully Jalen Carter Falls or Kalijah Cansey, possibly, because I like him a lot. But I'd say that's probably what I think would happen. Again, the dream is I'd say Draymond Jones, and then you trade back and get a tackle in the mid first round.
If they were to get a tackle in the first round, who do you think they should go after? And I'm only asking because I know the one guy from Northwestern, he was from Park Ridge. Was it Skronsky?
Yep. Yeah.
Is he a possibility?
Maybe, but I don't think he's a tackle in the NFL. I think he's too small, and his arms are extremely short. He's got T-Rex arms, so I think he's definitely better fit as a guard. His arms were like historically small. Like it was funny.
It's funny how people look into that kind of stuff. Like that's
I read that on Twitter too. But I mean, fuck, I don't know. That guy would beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, he's a monster. But he scares me. I'd think if they trade, well, if they stay at 9, I think they take Paris Johnson there. It seems like they like him a lot. I read somewhere that they're taking him out to a dinner before the Ohio State pro day. So I'm assuming they like him a lot. But if they trade back, I would like Broderick Jones or Darnell Wright a lot.
Okay. I mean, just again, all of this talk, it just gets you excited. Like,
yeah,
it's competency in the Bears front office. It's something that, like, I feel like with the previous regime of Pace and Nagy, it's just like it was always just like a stretch. You know, they're throwing first round picks. You know, moving one up to get Mitch, or moving up to get Fields, and like just it wasn't panning out. You know. And just right now, it is just it's like a breath of fresh air. And then they have Kevin Warren in, and everything with this Bears organization. It honestly, God, feels like it's a new day.
And I just love how they're wasting no time. First day of free agency, they're pouncing.
3 big contracts right away. Well, not all big, but 3 big name players that they needed immediately. Like no rest. I was getting a little nervous after TJ Edwards. Nothing was happening, but they obviously still had stuff in the works.
So how about Justin Fields here? Let's get into The real QB.
Quickly, the textbook Bears would have been don't trade for DJ Moore, sign Jacoby Myers.
Oh my
That
gosh,
would have been the old Bears.
And then be comfortable running into the season with Claypool, Jacoby Myers, and Mooney, which is okay, I guess. But
Right. Let's not even think about that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's nightmares. Fields. I mean, I'm seeing everywhere, people are obviously hyping him up next year. Like, what do you think his ceiling is? Is he Jalen Hurts? Is he, Lamar Jackson? I mean, I guess 2 MVP level players right there, but is he at that level? Could he get to that level?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think he takes that step, but I don't know if if it translates statistical wise. It depends on how often they throw the ball. Because he could easily have a Jalen Hurts type year, but it's going to get shot down. Because Jalen Hurts didn't throw for a lot of yards last year. People really don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
He threw for 3,500 yards.
Yeah, I was going to say 3,500. I think.
And everyone talked about how he was high passing quarterback. But if Fields were to do that, if he threw for 3,500 yards, people would still talk about how he's not a real quarterback. So I'd say it's a very similar season, except for he's going to run for more yards.
I welcome that too, though.
Oh, me too. No, I would love that. I'd love that.
Because Jalen Hurts was he would have been the Super Bowl MVP if if that penalty doesn't happen potentially.
Yeah, he was balling that game.
Should have been. He Hurts threw for 3,700 yards.
That's what it was. Yep.
Which is still, outrageous. You think the Bears will look to? This is his 3rd season coming up. Are they going to look to extend Fields after this season?
I think they'll pick up his 5th-year option, and then after that, they'll start to look to extension. I think it'll be after his. After this year, we'll definitely decide if they're moving forward with him or not. Because if they don't, obviously, if he has a down year, most of us are predicting.
Got to depend on performance, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yep. And then at least they have the Panthers pick.
He really didn't take off until that Patriots game.
Yep. Which again, I'm all in, but he's kind of going to have everything around him this year to prove it or not.
Right.
And if he does, you're going to have 2 first-round picks to be able to make a move to get a quarterback next year, which we don't want to think about, but it's just something you have to talk about, of course.
Yep.
Towards the end of the season, I'll say the Eagles, Bills. I can't remember who they played after that. The last anything after the Packers game. Were they running a different scheme for Fields, or running somewhat of a different offense to one I don't want to say shelter him, but to preserve him so he doesn't get hurt, build going into the offseason on a positive note?
I think they just ran out of help. They started getting the injuries like crazy on both sides of the ball. They started tanking, obviously, and they just kind of were all right, let's just just keep playing, just get more experience at this point. And they just tried to make, I'm pretty sure his reads not easy, but easier to maneuver through his reads by giving him more protection, by having more people blocking, having not simpler routes but easier routes to read on a defense, just to get them more comfortable.
Yep.
What do you think?
Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was gonna move on to Aaron Rodgers. If you got another Fields question, let it rip.
Well, I was just gonna, if you want to move on to a different team, I was gonna say maybe this would be a better thing to close on. But they're filling out the roster quickly here, and it's they still have room to make more moves. They're obviously, there's draft day. They're gonna add players on draft day.
Hey, your boy Rap Sheet, Draymond Jones to the Seahawks.
No,
oh, really? Just now?
Yeah,
that's terrible.
But you're right. Your boy Rap is all over it. Where's Shefty?
Yeah, seriously, where's Shefty?
Shefty's sleeping. Okay, so now with this, you expect the Bears, or you would think the Bears are going to make a play for Orlando Brown?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to give the bag to somebody because they need to spend a certain amount of money this offseason to, supplement, because you have to spend a certain amount to be able to carry over a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much more they technically need to spend, but they do need to spend a bunch more. And I would assume Orlando Brown's kind of the way to do it.
You brushed off my my Frank Clark question. I'm assuming you're not too high on him.
I don't mind. I don't mind. But it seems like they have an obvious agenda of they want players under the age of 30. Because Frank Clark's 31?
29, I think.
Okay. I'd be fine with Frank Clark. I just don't think he fits what they're looking for.
Right.
I would love Frank Clark. He's a stud.
Right.
But I just don't think he fits what they're looking for.
Right. Yeah, Frank Clark he'd be 30 going into at the start of next season.
Which is obviously, in football terms, that's old.
I was
just thinking maybe they want some kind of a veteran presence.
I wouldn't mind it because they're going to need it. Unless they really trust Justin Jones to be the 3 technique, and maybe they'll go spend it at a 1 technique.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Dalvin Tomlinson or something.
Do you think there's any possibility? I guess put a percentage on it that Jalen Carter actually falls to 9.
I'd say probably 30%.
The more quarterbacks that get drafted ahead of the Bears, the better.
Yeah. Plus, other teams have bigger needs. I think the Lions basically just secured that the fact they're going to be drafting him by the fact they signed Cam Sutton to a decent contract.
Mm-hmm.
So that fills out there. I thought they maybe had a chance of taking Devin Witherspoon at 6. And now, I mean, I guess the Seahawks aren't drafting Jalen Carter. Now they just signed Draymond Jones to a bag. So I'm assuming they're not even going to look at Carter probably.
No way the Bears try to trade back up to get him.
That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That would literally go against kind of what I was saying earlier, but I would spin it. I'd fucking love it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Honestly,
100%.
Kyle can
I'd be
spin
all
anything.
in. The fact that we
Anything.
debated taking him at 1, and
Right.
now we're getting him at like 5. Hey, that works.
So where I was going with mine quickly was, all right, they're like I said, they're filling out the roster. They're putting together like a formidable team that I think is going to be like competitive as early as this year. What's your opinion on that? Do you think they're going to contend for the division right away?
I think they're gonna make it interesting. I think they'll have like a Jaguars type season where obviously the Jaguars just had a choke of a division, so they obviously won the division. But I think the Vikings still will be able to contend and win the division. Lions will be a tough team to beat, and the Packers are the Packers. Like they're never going to be a pushover until they completely rebuild, which looks like they're just retooling with Jordan Love. So I don't think they're guaranteed to make the playoffs, win the division, but I think they're definitely going to have like at least 7 wins at this point next season.
Yeah.
Fuck that. You might as well hang a banner for that.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? 7 wins? I would kill for 7 wins.
After last season? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oh my god. Let's end on this. Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to start the season as a Jet?
100%. I think he's gone. All the Jets players were talking way too much to not know something on
So
Twitter.
like what? I mean, I'm sure you saw the Trey Wingo tweet today, and then my boy, or Max's boy, I should say, Shefty, came out and disputed it. Said he hasn't heard anything official. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's nothing official yet. I'm sure like Rodgers has to like lock up a few things before it's official, but I think it's as good as done. Like, I mean, the Jets players tweeting stuff like, "Oh, like I can sleep now." Like, I think it was Garrett Wilson going crazy on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that they're doing that, they obviously know something. Like, they're plugged in just a lot more than we are, and probably more than honestly those guys are. Like Rapp, Schefter, all those guys.
Yep. I hate to say it, but Jordan Love was slinging it a few times that I saw him last year.
Yeah. I mean, the preseason he looked pretty bad, but yes, in the regular season he looked good.
Was he only in that? And for the regular season, was it only that Eagles game?
Yes, it was for like that quarter and a half, I think, but he was absolutely slinging it.
Yeah, no, he definitely was.
He was scaring me a little bit.
The ball was zipping.
It was scaring me.
Yeah.
Tight little spiral on it.
Yeah.
Last question. Rank the 4 NFC North quarterbacks going into next season, assuming that Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet.
Assuming he's a Jet, then it's probably if it's just based off like last season, not like potential.
Yeah,
probably is Cousins, Goff, Fields, Love.
Ooh.
Oh, you would take Jared Goff over Justin Fields?
Well, like I wouldn't actually take him over, but like he looked really good last year.
I think you're being a little too respectful to our NFC North counterparts.
He did look really good. I will say that. I'm actually low-key love the Lions. It's kind of hard not to. Being a Bears fan, you're probably not supposed to like the Lions, but like Dan Campbell, he's a likable guy. Jared Goff, a likable guy.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if they win the division.
I wouldn't either. They're stacking their defense right now.
Yep.
They almost could be. Would you say they're almost a favorite or they have to be at least one of the top 2 teams?
They're probably the second favorite as soon as Rodgers is gone.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, and to be honest, I just have a hard time ever thinking that the Vikings with Kirk Cousins. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Well, not to mention their defense was absolutely atrocious.
They did just sign Marcus Davenport.
I saw that
during this too. Yep.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
1 year.
I mean, he's not anybody for me to stress about. I mean, I think he had half a sack last year, but he's still a very good, talented player.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings are a team that they're just a regular season team. Like Kirk Cousins. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the primetime Kirk and all of that.
Yep.
But it legitimately is true. Like if you look at him, like based off even like the noon slot to the 3 p.m. slot to the 7 or to like the primetime Sunday and Monday night, he can only play at noon. Every other time he's like a below average quarterback.
It's crazy.
Like
he's lethal at noon, and then any other time he's just like either average or bad.
Yeah, he's like Dan Marino or fucking
Joe Montana.
Caleb Haney.
Yeah,
Like,
no in
it's
between.
Yeah, no half measures.
Like that playoff game, the fact that he threw it on 4th and 8, he threw it 2 yards, dude, to I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Hawkinson.
Yeah, Hawkinson. I was like, it just felt like perfect Kirk Cousins. Like it's a great way to lose for him to lose the game.
Like fucking swing it as high as you can for fuck's sake. Like
You have Justin
yeah,
Jefferson.
nothing to lose. Yeah,
Literally.
right. It's
Just
crazy.
give him a shot.
Max, you got anything else?
I was just gonna say I'll end on this. I think this year Fields takes a big step forward. By the end of next season, I think we're talking about him as like a top 6 to 8 guy in the league.
I agree with that. I think he's for sure top 10 after this year.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'll take Burrow, Mahomes, Allen Hurts, and probably
Herbert take Lamar.
Herbert and Lawrence, and then I'll put Fields next.
You're putting him at 7.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. That was great math. Over Jesus Christ, why can't I think of the guy's name in the
Over Dak, over Cousins, over Daniel Jones.
I can't think who my fuck Tua. My guy Tua.
Yes. Over Tua.
I fucking like Tua. I mean, if
They got their insurance policy today.
Yeah,
Might not have
he might be better than Tua too.
Yeah.
shit. Well, Joe, thanks so much for coming on. You're gonna have to come on again around the draft. This is awesome.
Hey, drop your
Sure.
podcasts and all that stuff. Where can people find you? Where can people listen to you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Joseph Herff NFL. I have a podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, all that good stuff, and that's Herff's Huddle, a Chicago Bears podcast.
Officially a recurring guest of the Shy Sports Weekly Pod. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.